Hello there, everybody. Welcome to a very windy west of Ireland here. And my name is Sheehan to talk you through the bets for the weekend in the world of mixed martial arts. Obviously, we have the huge UFC 269 card going down this weekend. But we also have two really big Cage Warriors cards going down in London. And I'm going to give you a couple of bets from that as well. A couple of bets from obviously UFC 269 and one big flyer as well from UFC 269. So if you've never listened to this show before, that's what I give you. 4 bets and one big flyer of a bet that, might come off, might not, might make you a lot of money, but, you might only lose a fiver. Bet responsibly, please. Don't bet more than you can afford and even bet less than that. And as I always say, this is from an MMA point of view. This is not from a betting point of view. I'm no betting expert. You won't be hearing about units or anything like that from me. You'll be hearing about, put €2 and someone on 10 to 1 and they might win. That's my sort of thing. And I kind of want to just talk about the fights and talk about how maybe one person is an underdog or shouldn't be an underdog or one person should be the favourite, and things like that. So I think it's interesting always to look at these prices and see kind of what the experts, I suppose, in the betting field are thinking versus maybe the experts in the MMA field. So let's get into it. And apologies if there's any background noise or anything like that with the wind. It's just there's nothing I can do. There's a really bad storm here. So I think I have a pretty good mic and all anyway. So hopefully it's okay. Hopefully there isn't too much background noise. And let's get straight into it here with the first bet. Now, the first bet I'm not going for one of the Cage Warriors cards. I'm going for the UFC 269 first, and I'm going for the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, and she is minus 140 to beat Juliana Pena by a KO. And I think it's KO, TKO, DQ, one of those. So you might be able to get her a little better of a price just up by a straight KO or maybe straight KO, TKO somewhere. And the reason I've gone for this, look, I think Amanda Nunes will get the finish here. I was looking at the submission and I think it's plus, when we look at it at the end again, I'll pull it up, but I think it's around plus 400. We will look at that, I will confirm it. And I like that as well, but I do think Amanda Nunes against someone like Juliana Pena, she will be smart about it. I think she will look to avoid getting into clinches. She will look to avoid the fight going to the ground just for the ease of the fight. Now, if it does go to the ground, I don't think she'll have much problems, to be honest. If it does get into the clinch, I don't think she'll have much of a problem. But I think Amanda Nunes, after the Felicia Spencer fight and after, some fights recently where she's kind of given away maybe half a round or she's made, certain points of the fight not go her way, let's put it that way. I think she's smart enough to kind of go back and look at that and go back and look at her own game and realize what kind of has been happening and what she's been doing and improve it and get even better. Like, when you are the greatest of all time, when you're that good, the only way really is up, And the only way is to improve on flawlessness nearly. And I think that's what Amanda Nunes will do. I think she will keep Juliana Pena at, the end of her jab. I think she'll be throwing 1-2s down through the middle. And I think she's going to make it a really tough night for Pena. I was looking at her maybe in the second round as one of my flyer bets. But I decided to kind of stay away from that because it's hard to predict with Amanda Nunes, Sometimes she does come out and she tries to get in a few rounds, or she tries to, get a bit of ring time in there, maybe, if you want to put it that way. Another time she's just like, well, look, I'm just ending it now, and that's it. I feel like this will be one of those. I feel like this is going to be in the first couple of rounds. But or as I said, at minus 140 to get the KO. I think, look, if you were to ask 100 people what way they think this fight will end, would 90 of them say it'll end by a KO to Amanda Nunes? I think they probably will. Maybe if you will say submission, maybe if you will say Juliana Pena is tough and she might see out a decision. But I think the vast majority of people would say that Amanda Nunes is going to win here and going to win by KO. So to have that bet at just under even money, I think is very, very good. I think it's really good. And I think I think it's a bet that a lot of people will be going for, maybe throwing into accumulators and different things like that. So I like Amanda Nunes by a KO here. Right, the next bet I'm going for Danige And he's plus 140 over Josh Emmett. Actually, he's plus 151, plus 145 in other places. In the half an hour I've written down my prices, he's actually gone up a little bit. So the price I have is plus 140. Obviously, these prices can change. This is probably being recorded a day and a half or 2 days maybe before it comes out. So these prices can change, and they will change all the way up until Friday night with the with Cage Warriors first card, and Saturday night obviously with the Cage Warriors and the UFC cards this weekend. I just think for Dan Ige against Josh Emmett, I was a little bit surprised that Josh Emmett was the favourite here. Now, I like Josh Emmett. I think he's very good. I think he has power. I think he's a well-rounded fighter. You know, you could say the same for Dan Ige. I think he's a well-rounded fighter as well. I've seen that very close fight with Edson Barboza not too long ago, and I just feel like Josh Emmett maybe has been a little bit out of it for a while. I know, Dan Ige hasn't fought in a bit either, but I feel like Dan Ige, this is a time to rebound for Dan Ige, and I feel like Josh Emmett might be coming towards the end of his career. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, and maybe I'm not paying enough attention to him, but just from, as I say again, I always have one bet in these where I kind of scan through the prices and one that stands out to me, and this was the one today. This was the price that really stood out to me today. I was expecting Ige to be maybe not a big favourite. Maybe I was expecting Ige to be the 175 or 185 favourite. Minus 190 here I see Josh Emmett is in some places. That to me is crazy, I think. I think maybe it should be the other way around. I just think this is backwards. Now, look, if Josh Emmett went out and won, and I know I just said it was crazy, so bear with me for a second. But if he went out and won, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I do think, like, if I fell asleep in, at 3 a.m. on Saturday night or whatever it might be here in Ireland, I woke up the next morning and saw that Dan Ige won, it would be, oh yeah, of course he won, for me. And kind of looking back at their results and looking at one or two of their fights as well, I just feel if Dan Ige can kind of use his speed a little bit, use his technique, and kind of make it a 3-round fight. Like, I was looking at the decision here as well for Ige, and that is, I'll just pull it up here. Ige by decision was plus 250. Yeah, so I didn't go for that because there isn't that much of a difference between it. Plus 145, plus 150, and plus 250. I think him to win straight up is even better than that. I think it'll probably be a decision, let's be honest, and it'll probably be a relatively close decision. Look, Emmett has power. We've seen him before knocking guys out, and he could catch Ige and knock him out. But I do think if Ige can avoid that and win one of the first 2 rounds, I think he'll win it. I think he'll win the 3rd round, and I think he'll win the decision here. But yeah, I think I'm going for him straight up. Plus 145, as I said, plus 150 even in some places as well. A really, really good price, I think, on Dan Ige. So yeah, looking forward to that one and seeing how that goes. Right, so the next couple of bets here are going to be from Cage Warriors, and the first bet I'm going for Djati Melan at plus 150 over Matthew Bonner, and that is in the Cage Warriors middleweight title fight. Now, Djati Melan is a guy who's just come into Cage. He had one fight in Cage Warriors a couple of years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, I think. Then had a couple of fights outside of Cage Warriors. Haven't seen him, obviously, the coronavirus and different things. A lot of people have been out for a couple of years, but he's coming back here now. And he's fighting Matthew Bonner, who's had a great time in that time. He's won the title. He's beaten some of the best guys in Cage Warriors. I spoke to Brad Wharton about it. If you haven't listened to those previews yet on here on Sherdog, please do. It was great to speak to Brad. But Bonner's maybe overachieved a little bit, and that's not to say he won't do it again and he won't win this fight, but the fact that he's a minus 180 against a guy who's been out for 2 years and a guy who hasn't been in that Cage Warriors middleweight picture yet, maybe is kind of telling. The fact it's kind of that close, and I think it's close for a reason. And the reason I think it's close is Djati Melan is very good. I went back and watched a couple of his fights. It's not always easy to find loads of fights, but thank God he had one Cage Warriors fight anyway, and I watched that. And he's one of those guys, you're expecting, and you watch the start of a fight and you're expecting it to be a striking matchup, and you look at his first few strikes and you look at the way he sets up strikes and the way he starts out with his game, and you're expecting it to be a striking match. You're expecting, because he's so good. And then he throws in a big double leg underneath, and he takes up to the ground, and he's massive ground up, and he stalls on top, and not stalls on top, but controls on top, and just really, really good. That's what Djati Melan is. And that fight that he had in Cage Warriors that I watched, I was so impressed just by that alone, but by the rest of the fight as well, and other bits and pieces I've seen by him. He's kind of a Daniel Cormier, well, maybe not Daniel Cormier physique, but maybe a smaller type of guy for the weight class, but strong, kind of butty, and it's very hard for guys like Bonner, who are maybe a little bit bigger, who's a strong guy himself, don't get me wrong, to stop a takedown against guys like that. And I think if Melan has a little bit of pleasure on the feet, I think he can take him down, and I think he'll have a lot of good times on top. Although Bonner is, he's very good all around. He can hit hard, and he's good jiu-jitsu. That he's fighting out of Paddy Pimblett's gym in Liverpool, and you know what they're like with their jiu-jitsu and their wrestling as well. So it's a relatively even fight. But having watched both of them back for the preview, I was siding with Melan, and when I saw he was plus 150, I kind of had to go for it, I think. So yeah, that would be my bet from the first Cage Warriors card. So that's Cage Warriors 131. We will go through the betting a little bit more. Oh no, let's do it now all together. We'll go through the betting a little bit on that now, and then I'll give you my bet for Cage Warriors 132. So look, I'll go through a couple of the fights that stand out for me. The big standout price here is Oban Elliott minus 300, against Matters Flaminas plus 240. I had Oban on the podcast here on the YouTube show 2 weeks ago now. At this stage, if you haven't heard that yet, he's a great story. Talking about how he's started off very tough in his life. His father passed away, who was a boxer himself, and then he's dedicated his whole career to his father. He was forced to retire due to a heart issue, but with the help of Dan Hardy, he was able to get back. Came back, went up a weight, won his fight, and now was in this big fight against Matters Flaminas, who has a win over Matthew Bonner, who I just mentioned, who has a win over who else? Does he win over? He win over George Hardwick, doesn't he, as well, if I'm not mistaken? I don't have the record up in front of me, but he's a very, very, very good fighter. And the fact that Oban Elliott, who is what 4-1 in his career, has never fought this level of fighter before, and when he has, he lost to Mike Figlak, although it was down the way, and it was just when he got the heart problem. So there's definitely excuses for that. But the fact that Oban Elliott is a minus 300 favorite here, I think is mad. Now I'd have Oban Elliott favored. I think he'll win the fight. But I think maybe minus 150 or something like that would have been the right price. So Flaminas at plus 240, I think is crazy. I think that's a massive price altogether. This is a close fight. I think. I do think Oban Elliott will win. I think his striking is fantastic. I think he's a really well-rounded guy as well, and I do think he'll win. But yeah, I think it's a very close fight compared to that, and I think the bookies have that one way wrong. But I suppose we will see on that. Another one sticks out, John and Dye minus 325 over Tom Mearns. Now, another one where I do think he'll win, but John and Dye has only fought once or twice in the last 5 years nearly, so he still has a bit of proving to do in terms of him coming back to be at his very best. So that would definitely be a price I would look at. And in the lightweight title fight as well, Mehdi Ben Lakhdar plus 127, George Hardwick minus 157. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. I think it's a pick 'em fight. I think it's a very hard fight to pick. The one thing I would say though is Mehdi Ben Lakhdar has been in there against Joe McColgan, who was the champ until he vacated the belt so these guys could fight for it. And he drew with him, and he had a great fight with him, and I think that stands. Hardwick has been in there with some good guys as well, but I think I'd probably have Ben Lakhdar, to be honest, to win this fight. It's a very, very close one as well. As I said, I pick him. I think the prices here maybe should be a little bit closer. Like I was expecting this one to be minus 110. So the fact that Ben Lakhdar is a little bit of a favorite, he'd probably be the one I would be back in here. But yeah, there is some good stuff on this card. if anyone knows, I speak to Jake Smith over in Newcastle in England. He's always talking about Mike Chukum, I believe is his name is pronounced, but Big Mike, they always call him. He's supposed to be really, really good. He's fighting Samir Kaddi. I think it was only just announced. It might have even been in the preview we were talking about, but they're both minus 115 in that one. I'd be looking at Big Mike in that one. So that's an interesting betting lineup there for Cage Warriors. And I'll go to the second Cage Warriors card. And then we will talk about UFC 269. So this is another very interesting one. Look, my bet here, first of all, so my fourth bet, and I'll recap them again at the end in case it gets a bit confusing. But my fourth bet here, I'm going for Luke Shanks to beat Sam Creasy. Now, some people might think I'm bad. He's plus 122. Obviously, he lost the last time, but it was controversial. We won't go over that again. If you haven't heard the story, go and listen to the episode with Brad. Though it was a very, very controversial one. There was a tap. He ended up getting tapped. He was the champion. Before that, Creasy had lost twice for the belt before that. Look, this is plus 122, and I'm giving you this bet now, but he did miss weight for the last fight. And if this comes to, Friday at noon, and I hear he misses weight again, I might be coming quickly back on to change my bet. So keep an eye on my Twitter for that one. But I just think Shanks, look, he got guillotined in the last fight, and I think he'll be looking out for a little bit more. He's not going to get away from his wrestling, I don't think. I think he's going to stick to that wrestling and try to wrestle Sam Creasy as much as he can here. And I think he will have a little bit more success with it. Now, it's 5 rounds as well, and it's going to be tough to avoid the guillotine for 5 rounds, but if he can get through it early, I don't know. Look, it's a close betting line because of it's a close fight. But I just do think Shanks' wrestling will be maybe a little bit too much for him, especially if he's coming into this maybe better prepared. No injuries, nothing like that. Makes weight and, gets his game plan going. I think he'll win it. So it's plus 122 there for Shanks. I'm going for that as my fourth bet of the week. Another bet that's another price that stood out to me is Ken Kapainen. He's plus 300 over Matthias Figlak. Now, not to be confused with Mike Figlak, his brother, who's also on this card. He's minus 400 to go over Stevie McIntosh, who's plus 300. Well, I like that line. I think that's just about right. Mike Figlak is very, very good. But Ken Kapainen is a good fighter. And I think this is a very, very telling fight for Matthias Figlak. I think he is going to have to show a lot in this fight. We saw Ken Kapainen fight Will Fleury up at middleweight, and the way Fleury beat him was he was taking him down. He made it tough for him. Like, Ken Kapainen is a pretty good kickboxer. He's fought Melvin Manhoef, and he's had some boxing matches and stuff like that. He's a good striker. And against Figlak, whose only loss is to Ian Gary. I think he still has a bit of proving to do in his career, and to be that much of a favourite, minus 400 favourite over someone as kind of schooled maybe as Ken Kapainen, I think it's a bit of a big price. Now, I would pick Figlak as well. I do believe in his ability, and I think he will move forward with a win here. But it's a tough fight. It's a very, very tough fight, and that line is definitely a bit wide for me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Then in the title fight as well, the champion even, Dominic Wooding. He's a minus 265 favourite over plus 205 Carlos Abreu. As I mentioned, very hard to find anything on Carlos Abreu, so I'm not 100% sure of that one. But Dominic Wooding is a very, very good fighter, and definitely looking forward to seeing that one. Samir Fidin minus 154, Aaron Abbey plus 124 is one of the fights of the weekend as well. I think it could turn out to be, and I think it's very close. And Tobias Harila, if anyone saw him in these last few fights, he's a madman altogether. He's minus 400 against Jair Jr., who fought in Bellator not too long ago, who's plus 300. So yeah, there's some good stuff there on those two Cage Warriors cards, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. So yeah, let's get to UFC 269 here. My bet and my flyer for UFC 269, I'm going for Charles Oliveira to win by KO at plus 705. That's a big price to win by knockout. Plus 705. I was very surprised to see it that big of a price, to be honest. We know what Charles Oliveira's changed his game to in the last while. He is a madman who will go forward, throw big strikes. If you take him down or if you strike back with him, he's happy enough to go to the ground, even go to the bottom, because he knows his submission game is so good, his jiu-jitsu is so good that he can dominate you from there if needs be. So I think, look, I was going back and forth in this fight who I think could win. And where I came to in my mind, and I might be wrong, a lot of people are probably picking Poirier, a lot of people picking Oliveira. It's a very close fight here. I'll tell you the straight up prices in a second, the money line prices. But when I came to mind of my decision of who will win, I think Oliveira via knockout was what I came to, and that's my pick. If I was to pick anything, that'd be the pick. Now that might be wrong, that might be wrong, but the fact that's plus 700, I think it has to be my flyer of the week. And and the picks over in Severe MMA that we're doing, that's my pick for Oliveira to win by KO. So I have to go for it here. I have to go for it as my flyer here. I would. I would be going against myself if I didn't go for it, so I have to go for it. And look, it's one of those fights where I'm not sure. It's one of those fights we all love because we're probably not sure. If you're picking Poirier, I bet you think, okay, he'll win. He might win in this way. He might get it into a technical matchup. I don't think Oliveira will be able to live with him. And you might be right, But you also do have that thing, what if it goes to the ground? What if he gets submitted? What if Oliveira can kind of take the front foot, land these big strikes and win the fight that way? And the other way around, if you think Oliveira can do that like me, I have this feeling in the back of my head that Poirier is going to jab him up and going to push him back and is going to stop him from that mad forward motion and just take over with his technique and his tactical game. And I really could see that happening. It's just a fight I want to see, It really is. It's a fight I want to. I don't care who wins. I really just want to see it. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight and a fascinating fight. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Some of the one or two of the other bets there for that. The under 2.5 rounds is minus 170. Under 1.1 rounds is minus 120. I was looking at the over 2.2 rounds at plus 125. I just don't think that's a great price, any of those, to be honest. So I kind of steer clear of those there. Poirier to win by KO, if you like that. That's only a plus 120. Not a big price, so that's another one I kind of would steer clear of a little bit. If you fancy Oliveira by submission, you can get him at plus 275, plus 310 in some places. Poirier by submission is 12 to 1, 11 to 1 in some places as well. So, some big bets there if you fancy a finish. And, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait for that. Amanda Nunes in, as I mentioned. The Oliveira is plus 140 here in most places. Poirier around minus 160 in most places. Amanda Nunes then, she's a big favourite. She's 8, 9, 10 to 1 in favourite in some places. Juliana Pena can be got around 6 to 1, 7 to 1 even maybe in some places. The bet I told you, Amanda Nunes to win... let me just pull it up here. Amanda Nunes to win by KO, obviously the one I gave, minus 155. But look, Pena to win by KO, if you fancy the big upset, you can get that at 22 to 1. Pena by submission, 15 to 1. So, and Nunes by decision, plus 425 it is here. I wouldn't be going for that, to be honest. But if you fancy Pena to kind of to get through it, to tough it out, maybe you like that. Right, so let's run through some of the other bets here. Jeff Neal is an underdog against Ponzinibbio. I believe that line has turned. I think it has. Yeah, it has actually. In the last week or so, maybe it's to do with Jeff Neal's problems outside of the cage. He was caught, arrested and things like that. So maybe it's to do with that. But Ponzinibbio, he's the favourite there now. Cody Garbrandt is the favourite over Kai Kara France. He's minus 133. Kai Kara France plus 113. Which a couple of years ago, or maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this stage, would have been an absolutely insane line if you're if you were to think about it. But now I think that's just about right. It's a close fight. Roman Paiva is plus 245. Sugar Sean O'Malley minus 290. I think that's just about right as well. If you fancy O'Malley to get the KO there, plus 110. Don't like that. Not big enough for me. And as I mentioned, Daniga plus 140, minus 160. Josh Emmett, Dominic Cruz. Oh, some places Pedro Munoz is the favourite here. He's minus 120, minus 115. Dominic Cruz, you can get him best price I see here on best fight odds is plus 100, but he's around plus or minus 110 here. Sorry, in most places. So that's very close. Another one a few years ago that you probably would have been called mad if you gave that price, but. No, I think Dominic Cruz should still be favoured. I might be wrong, and maybe this is the last hurrah for Dominic Cruz, but yeah, I would still have him favourite in that one. Augustus Sagayan and Tai Tuivasa, again, just about to say a minus 110. Bruno Silva, Jordan Wright, big favourite there, Bruno Silva. Aaron Blanchfield is the underdog against Miranda Maverick. Andre Nunes is a slight favourite as well over Eric Anders, and a big favourite Alex Perez minus 310 against Matt Schnell at plus 260. But Schnell, you know, if the best Schnell turns up, he can beat anyone in that division. I really do think that. I think, well, maybe not anyone, but most of the people on the way up. I think he's very, very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. Probably just about picking Perez, but I wouldn't rule out Schnell. Always interesting to see Ryan Hall as well, see how he looks. The odds for the submission aren't up yet, unfortunately, but he is minus 200 favourite to beat Derek Minor, who's plus 170. You know, when Hall by submission comes up there, I'll probably be all over that, to be honest, as one of the bets. Randy Costa minus 160, plus 155 for Tony Kelly, and Jillian Robertson is a big favourite over Priscilla Cachoeira, how she's still in the UFC, plus 300. So yeah, there's lots of good bets this week. Sometimes I'm struggling for bets, but this week I had the pick of them. So there's a lot of good stuff out there this weekend. Let me run you through my 5 bets again. So Amanda Nunes via KO minus 140. I'm going for Dan Ige over Josh Emmett at plus 140. Luke Shanks over in Cage Warriors 131 on Friday. That's plus 122. I'm going for Djati Melan. He is on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Plus 150. Courtesy Fridays. Hold on, let me pull it up here just to make sure. Melan is on. Oh no, he's on Friday too. Yeah, sorry, he is on Friday. So or I have them the wrong way around. Sorry, the other one is on. Shanks is on Saturday. Melan's on Friday. Yeah, I knew I gave one from each card. Yeah. So if you want to bet on Shanks, that's on Saturday plus 122. Melan on Friday plus 150. And then my flyer of the week, Charles Oliveira plus 705 to defeat Dustin Poirier by KO. So that's the big one if you fancy that one. Right, that's it from me, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Sean Sheehan from Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.